GamingBolt presents 15 developers whose games will sell like hotcakes just with a mere announcement. There are some developers and franchises in our industry that are so huge, so popular, that they don't need things like advertising. Franchises like Pokemon, Grand Theft Auto, and FIFA are household names now, and these games sell themselves. It helps that these developers usually know how to make a great game, and that a lot of their franchises and properties are good at churning out a regular stream of quality titles. And that is despite the fact that sometimes both the games and their creators slip and make mistakes. In this feature, we're going to take a look at 15 video game developers that have become so huge in this industry that just a mere announcement of their next big title is often enough to ensure solid sales figures.
I ain't telling you shit!
That's all right. I believe him.
No, wait!
Bethesda Game Studios. Bethesda have seen a steady and impressive growth over the years, and we're now at a point where the launch of the next Fallout or Elder Scrolls games become a major event in and of themselves. Both franchises have an excellent track record, both in terms of critical reception and commercial success. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is a game that is still selling really well, despite being 6 years old at this point, while Fallout 4's sales have also been really impressive.
A few weeks ago, I was happily retired, sulking by my swimming pool. My psychotic best friend shows up out of nowhere to torture me over mistakes I made, honest mistakes I made over a decade ago.
ROCKSTAR. This is not even something that needs to be explained. Grand Theft Auto is one of the best-selling and most highly reputed video game franchises ever. The sales figures for just GTA 5 by themselves are frankly ridiculous, and when you put the numbers for the entire series together, it becomes even more impressive. Red Dead Redemption was also a game that sold very well, and its upcoming sequel is surely going to do the same. Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog probably wouldn't have been on this list a decade ago. They were still a well-known and well-loved team, known for games such as Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter, but they really broke the ceiling with Uncharted.
Hello?
Buka Pintu!
Siapa ini? Bicara sekarang.
Ah, crap. Sialalo! Cepatan, buka pintu!
With every successive game in the series, their legend grew, and with The Last of Us, they hit the stratosphere. It's not without reason that Naughty Dog are now one of the most prestigious developers in the industry, and that each of their new games is considered almost a sure-shot success story. Blizzard Entertainment. Just take a look at Blizzard's lineup of franchises and you'll understand why they've been included on this list. From Warcraft and StarCraft to Diablo and Overwatch to even Hearthstone, almost everything and anything that has the Blizzard name attached to it sells like peanuts. The unprecedented and sustained worldwide success of World of Warcraft is the perfect example. It also helps that most of the time Blizzard games are also really damn good. Square Enix. The way Square Enix have managed to keep themselves not only relevant, but also at the top of their game for so many years is admirable. Developers and publishers have either dwindled like Sega or vanished entirely like so many others, but Square Enix are among the chosen few who were here decades ago and are here even today. That is thanks in large part to properties such as Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, and so many others. It doesn't need to be said, but more often than not, these franchises, as well as others, sell incredibly well. EA Sports. Annual sports franchises like Madden and FIFA may not be considered the most influential franchises in our industry, but they are definitely the biggest. They're almost bound to sell at least a handful million copies. Like several other annual franchises, their turnover means that there isn't often much room for innovation or change. Not that that never happens, but EA Sports have managed to keep their franchises successful by constantly improving and building upon already solid foundations. Valve. Or at least Valve when, you know, they actually made games. We haven't seen much from the legendary developer in recent years, but one cannot soon forget classics like Half-Life and Counter-Strike, and more recent masterpieces such as Left 4 Dead and Portal. Not only did these games sell very well, they were also considered to be among the best in their categories, so much so that people have been clamoring for sequels to all of them even so many years later. Game Freak. If a game has the word Pokemon in its title, it's going to sell ridiculously well. It's almost an undeniable fact at this point. Game Freak's RPG franchise has been around for over 20 years now, and it's never failed to take the world by storm. The series has consistently produced games that have been incredible at best and solid at worst, and Pokemon has continued to sell so well throughout the years that these numbers have become somewhat of a guarantee in terms of hardware sales for Nintendo as well.
Spartans never died, George. They're just missing in action.
Bungie. Bungie cemented itself as one of the best video game developers in the industry with numerous incredible games in the Halo series over a number of years. But their success wasn't limited to just praise from critics. The Halo series sold in spades when Bungie was in charge of it, and continues to do so even now. But even after the developers moved on to different pastures, their knack for success followed them. Destiny may have had some flaws, but it has a huge foothold on the market, sold very well, and its sequel will surely improve upon its predecessor.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Kojima Productions. Kojima Productions may be a different beast than what it used to be under Konami, but the mastermind of Hideo Kojima is always going to turn heads, no matter what he does. Metal Gear is a series that astounds one and all with every successive game, not to mention the fact that these games also sell really well. The Zone of the Ender games were also really good, even though they didn't sell as well, and even now, the world awaits with bated breath for Death Stranding. CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red rose to fame very suddenly and relatively recently. The Witcher was a decent game with several flaws, and while the second game in the series was a remarkable improvement, it wasn't until The Witcher 3 that the Polish developers really hit the mainstream.
Military camp. No locals allowed without the express consent of the garrison commander.
I look like a local to you?
You look like trouble.
Dead wrong. I make trouble go away. I'm a Witcher.
The Witcher 3 was very well received by critics and fans alike, and as such, accumulated impressive sales figures. At this point, anything CD Projekt Red makes next will be met with massive anticipation, as is evidenced by the excitement surrounding Cyberpunk 2077, despite how very little we know of it. TREYARCH and SLEDGEHAMMER. This entry is less about the developers themselves and more about the video game franchise they work on, but it's no less relevant. Call of Duty is a series that is almost guaranteed to sell well. Year after year, Activision pumps out a new game in the first-person shooter franchise, and year after year, regardless of whether it was developed by Treyarch or the relatively newer Sledgehammer games, the Call of Duty games continue to sell like hotcakes. BioWare. BioWare have stumbled more than we're used to seeing in recent times, with the failure of Mass Effect Andromeda and the less than stellar performances of Star Wars: The Old Republic. But over the years, the Canadian developer has been known to pump out one quality game after another, from old classics like Baldur's Gate and Knights of the Old Republic to newer ones like Mass Effect and Dragon Age. BioWare has been great at shelling out one excellent adventure after another. And more often than not, the excellence of these games is rewarded with great sales. UBISOFT. Just take a look at some of the biggest franchises in the industry right now: Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, Tom Clancy. These are all franchises that not only have been established by Ubisoft, but established with great style. Though these franchises have often stumbled, they've managed to accrue large numbers of fans to the point where now new entries are guaranteed to sell millions of copies. Tencent. Tencent may not be as well known a name among the Western audiences as some of the others on our list, at least as far as the video games industry are concerned. But that shouldn't take away anything from how big they are. The Chinese mega company is known for having made the Windows-based console known as Blade, as well as hosting League of Legends and making the mobile game Honor of Kings. And that'll be about it for this one. If you guys like what we're doing at GamingBolt, please consider subscribing to our channel, and I'll see you guys on the next video.